Part 2. Okay, so the word for lamb, the one that's not mentioned in Strong's is tet lamed hay, which means dew, D-E-W, or patchy. So you might say, well, boy, when there's a heavy fog out and it's just laying, everything gets wet. But apparently when you're out in the field, it's not everything. It's in patches based on the environment, the ambient air pressure and temperature and where the sun's hitting and this and that. So the same look of a lamb with patchy spots and the dew being patchy. So it's the exact same word in Hebrew, patchy and lamb. But also tet lamed, tet vav lamed. So again, this is the way you construct the language. You take the two letters and you either repeat it, so it's tet lamed lamed, take the second letter, repeat it, make it the third, or take the first two letters, repeat them again, so it's tet lamed, or stick a yod or a vav in between. So in this case, tet lamed, tet vav lamed, and it means wandering. Well, that's what little lambs do. They wander around. So that's where you get the story of the 99 sheep, and then the one get lost, and the good shepherd goes and finds him. Tet lamed lamed means overshadowed or dew covered. Picture this mist hanging over there, which produces the dew, or just maybe no mist, just everything covered with dew. So to be covered is tet lamed lamed, talal. Well, that's where you get the word talit, which is like that shawl thing that the Jews typically wear as a prayer shawl. Tet lamed yod tav. See, it comes from the same root as covered with dew. But why doesn't Strong's mention that? I'm just saying, you'll see different things. Strong's doesn't tell you that aleph, vav, tav could be a letter of the alphabet. That's only in Klein's dictionary. But okay, the four words that Strong's uses for lamb, sheen hay, or sometimes spelled sheen yod, means lamb. But wait a minute, I know from the dictionary, from Klein's, that sheen yod means a gift or a present. But see, sheen aleph, sheen hay, sheen yod, maybe even sheen vav, those different suffixes, yods, hays, alephs, those are all kind of masculine, feminine, neutral. They don't really affect the word so much. But you have to bear that in mind as you keep looking at this. Another word for lamb is zadi aleph nun. But remember, we talked about nun suffix being the one engaged in the action, and zadi aleph as the word for get out of here. It's also to defecate. Poof. It also is one of the words to vomit. Well, there's kuf aleph and also zadi aleph would be to vomit, just gah. But it also means to export, publish, or blossom. So it's a picture. So pei zadi is a mouth, bah! It means explosion, but also open mouth. Not in a bad way or a negative way. It's just the action of this thing that had been closed bursting forth because the letters are pictures. So you see the zadi is the line with this thing. Well, that's like a flag on a flagpole. That's like a stick with a flame, a bird with a wing, a butterfly coming out of the cocoon and putting out its wings to fly. These are all zitzi, the thing that a zitzi fly is the same as the zitziot, which is a flourish. Once you see the pictures, you can construct from looking at the letters used to spell the words, and it's building zadi aleph nun is publish, blossom, export. Why is it sheep or lamb? Because you send the little ones out first. They set the pace. If you put the big sheep out, they'll walk so fast, they'll go where, mind destination. The little ones will fall behind, be draggled, and get consumed by predators or lost. So you put the little ones out first because they'll set the pace. The big ones can cater to them. That's the life of a shepherd. So you have to take on a certain mind and say, So Zadi Aleph Nun doesn't necessarily mean sheep. It's the little sheep you send out, you publish, you export the little guys first. So the culture is wrapped up in the spelling of the words. Another word is kabosh, kaf, bet, sheen. Kibosh is an English word. Yeah, put the kibosh on that. Means stop it right now. Just shut it down. Put the kibosh on it. But in Hebrew, the word kibosh is ram, or to subjugate. Take dominion over. That's a pure Hebrew word. We just don't know it. And if you take the same three letters, kaf, bet, sheen, and you swap the bet and sheen with kaf, sheen, bet, that's also the word lamb. But kaf can be a prefix that means like or as. So let's look at sheen, bet. Well, that's like the word Shabbat, because tav is a suffix, which means to dwell, to sit, to remain, to dwell, to stay in your house. Shabbat, rest. And if you take the second letter and make it the third, you get sheen, bet, bet, means to break into pieces or ruin. Well, that's like the ram pounding on something, busting it into pieces. Or that's like to detonate. Or you get this Zadi Aleph, publishing, export. Pei Zadi is the word to detonate. If you take the different suffix and make it sheen, bet, hey, it means transport or carry into captivity. Into captivity. Well, you'll see that the word Shabbat can also mean to be taken captive. So you're taken captive by the day, you go into captivity. And then so in the scripture, in the Torah, when it's said that if you don't keep Shabbat and you lose the covenant, you'll be taken into captivity, and then he'll return the captivity. To return is sheen, bet. Captivity is sheen, bet. To return to Shabbat and to sit and dwell, it's all playing of the same word. Sheen, bet, hey, then, transport, carry into captivity. But sheen, bet, vav, and again, the only difference is hey is the feminine suffix, vav is the masculine suffix, means subdivision. Well, what's a subdivision? To divide something up. You take something whole and you break it into pieces. Oh, that's just like sheen, bet, bet. And a subdivision is, well, they'll take a tract of land, maybe it was a farm field, maybe it was some kind of wilderness, they'll break it up into parcels and they'll put in houses where you get suburban, suburbia. So what if you put all those together? If you just look at the putting the things together of kashav, kaf, sheen, bet, like if you break something into pieces, like you're going to ruin it, but then you capture those pieces and you carry them into a captivity where you are the dominant one over it. You might say it's kind of like a wrangler of renegade wilds or a civilizer of barbarians. As you're looking through the dictionary and you're looking at sheen, bet, bet, sheen, bet, hey, sheen, bet, vav, sheen, bet, yod, mem, sheen, bet, vav, tav, put other suffixes, and you bump into, and that's the benefit of reading the dictionary, sheen, bet, resh, shivar, shiver. Hey, we've talked about that before. Shiver me timbers, rattling, shaking. It's where you get break a dream, break into ruin. Well, break into ruin, that's a synonym with sheen, bet, bet. So you realize that sheen, bet, bet, and sheen, bet, resh, the common is sheen, bet, and it means to break something into pieces, crumbles. You take pieces of corn, a chicken's going to choke on it, but you crunch it up into pieces, and then you're throwing what they call scratch to feed the chickens. The exact same word, scratch corn, break into ruins, crumble, is shavar. It also means to decrypt a code. It also means hope, look out, inspect, or examine. Well, hope and look out and inspect and examine is also a synonym with bet, chet, noon, which happens to be a watchtower, and we'll get to that word later. My point is, if you put all these things together, the word lamb is a gift or a present, publishing or blossoming, taking something that's too big or too solid, busting it up into little pieces, ruling over it with an authority, which is to say, this is what it is, as a way of decrypting a code. It's like the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. There's this one thing, this block of this alphabet, and this lamb. Why did he have to die? Remember, we talked about this. He took this alphabetic letter sequence, he busted it up into pieces, and he came down here to walk through in sequence every single one of them and make the thing happen to fulfill the terms of the covenant. That's what makes him worthy as the lamb that would be slain. The interesting thing about the word for throne is that it's simply kaf somic, or kaf somic aleph, or kaf somic hey. And it means throne, but it means something covered. Well, my brother, it was kind of funny. My brother went to Nigeria and he met more than one of these kings, chieftains. Their throne was a lazy boy chair, or somebody else a stuffed upholstered chair. Something that we would have thrown out in the garbage is this old tattered upholstered chair, 50 years old, that had stains all over it and half the stuffing ripped out. To these guys living in the outback of Nigeria, that was the king's throne, an upholstered chair. Something overlaid, covered, upholstered. A throne, you maybe have a structured armature of wood or metal, but then you overlay it with gold. The word throne simply means covered. It's not throne per se. So the word for new moon or full moon, which might be fully light or fully dark, is kaf somic aleph or kaf somic hey. It just means covered, hidden or concealed. So the word throne means hidden or concealed. So here's this lamb, which is a gift or a present of opening up, blossoming, how to take these, let's say the Hebrew letters, crushing them into pieces, taking dominion over them, and laying them out as a thing of beauty. So by Ayin Tov, or Ayin Dalet Ayin Tov, comprehend Yeshua the being the door, the access to understanding the pictorial meanings of the letters of the alphabet, Daniel 12:4. What I'm saying is that once you start studying this stuff, it all comes together like this hyperdimensional puzzle, and it all comes into view. The civilizer of barbarians, each one of these rogue letters that could be anything here and there, and he brings them all into this perfect circle, this surrounding wall of which we can have hope, knowing that Yahweh is completely, his whole vow, his heart, his mind, everything is about fulfilling the message which is in this, which Yeshua came at great expense of his suffering, of his pain, of his alienation from his Father, to be, to embody, to explain, express in a narrative of the Gospels these 22 letters that had been hidden and concealed. Kaf somic vav tav means clothed in a garment, whether it's darkness or light. Kaf yod somic, a pocket. What do you do with a pocket? It's a place where something's tucked in and hidden and sealed. Cup or goblet, kaf vav somic, like the word Yosef. Yosef, known as Zaphnath Paneach, the diviner of mysteries, held a goblet because that was his name, Yosef. What's in the goblet? Well, if it's crystal, you can see, but if it's a solid goblet, you don't know what's in it unless you can see in it like a pocket. What I'm saying is that the same picture of a pocket, of a goblet, of a throne, of something hidden, that's the one sitting on the throne, that the Lamb was worthy to open the seal. Kaf somic somic, to compute, reckon, make small, divide up, grind, chew, gnaw, as fodder, to break up. The same thing as lamb, as throne. He was able to take this hidden thing, break it up into pieces so it can be computed and reckoned. It's exactly what we're doing by studying this language. Kaf Samic, Kaf, Vav Samic, number crutching. As an accountant, crush with the teeth, pound or pulverize, which is a synonym of Yod Resh Dalet, Bet Resh Dalet, which we'll get to in another verse. The word for loosen the seal. Daniel was told to hide the words and seal the book. The word seal is het tav mem. The word for hide is samic tav mem, very similar to samic tav resh, very similar to this word for covering and hiding, neutralizing, making general anonymous. So what's going on? Nobody knows. And it gives reference of meaning. To loosen the seal. The word loosen in Strong's, there's 6 words. Nun tav resh, pei tav het, shin lamed het, het lamed zadi, nun shin lamed, and shin resh aleph. To go through again. Nun tav resh, violent, agitate, shake off. To loosen the seal, or to open the seal that's on the scroll. Violently shake it off. Pei tav het means entrance, disclosure, to draw a sword. Picture of Excalibur pulling the sword out of the stone that nobody else could do. Shin lamed het. That's the word for divorce or missile, or to just eject or send away, shoot forth like a blossom even. Het lamed zadi, the word for loins, strength, to equip for war or become armed. Again, a military term, but it also means unprotected, uncovered pioneer. The pioneer, one who lives the civilization to go out into the wild, savage territory, putting himself at risk in order to establish. That's what Oregon was all about. The pioneers came from the East Coast to here, to the wild woods. That's Yeshua leaving the abode of the heavenlies to come to earth as Dalal, as Dalet, the door. Dalal meaning poor, hanging down, loose, vulnerable. Like dropping your hand down into a bucket of rattlesnakes that they'll want to bite you, which is what he did to come down here as the door to make this connection. Pioneer, vanguard, point man, unsafe. That's the meaning of Het Lamed Zadi. That's what he did. Nun Shin Lamed, pluck off, eject. It's a picture of a bird molting or deciduous tree leaves in autumn. Shin Resh Aleph, unravel, dissolve, or commence, which is to start. Again, Yeshua coming down here did that. By him coming down here, he revealed this thing that was otherwise hidden. The entrance, he disclosed. Unraveling. Loosen the seal. Loosen doesn't open the seal. It wasn't just open. But if it was the word Petov Het, that's the word used for open. So the word midst, there's 2 different words. Shin Lamed Shin, Shalash or Shalish, can mean relay, intermediary, or interpreter for Yeshua to come from the heavens to the earth as this liaison, ambassador, intermediary. And the word Kuf Resh Bet is the word usually translated in the midst. It means to be at hand, draw near, center, to present, produce, to stand, and one confronting the hostile encounter. In the midst of the throne, he came as the emissary, the ambassador, as the pioneer vanguard to engage the hostile encounter. And then the word throne again, covered, overlaid, concealed, and veiled. So when he died on the cross and having the veil in the temple ripped in half was unveiling, there's more to the story than just the picture event of what happened. Yes, it could be metaphorical, but there's also something about opening the veil. The word veil is also, that which is veiled is throne, but it's also Samik Tav Resh. If we look at Samik Tav Resh, Satar, to hide, conceal, covered, sheltered, hidden carefully. That's what he did with his identity and the true nature of the relationship that he was supposed to have with Israel for 2,730 years. That was the terms of the curse, which plays into some other stuff, which I don't know that we'll have time to get into today, but it gets into other stuff in Isaiah 30 and Isaiah 41 and Isaiah 12, which hopefully we can get to. But the idea that Satar also means pull down, destroy, refute, contradict, disarranged, upset, neutralized, undone, covering over, hiding place, secret, secrecy. Remember, Daniel was told to Samech Tav Mem. It's right next to Samech Tav Resh in the dictionary, and you look at that and you realize Samech is an engineered structure, like a backbone, like a tree shape, a mast with yard arms, backbone with ribs. The picture of that. So to the throne is being Kaf Samech, like this engineered structure. Kaf is an open hand. Something about the picture of an open hand in this engineered structure of the Samech, which is also then the shape of the menorah, like a menorah. The light has been distorted, disarranged, upset. So if Daniel was told to do that by changing the letters, going back to this paleo, is to go back to seeing what it really is. Samech Tav Resh Tav is shelter or protection. That Bet Het Shin Aleph. Het Shin Aleph is secret. Bet Het Shin Aleph is secretly. Bet Het Shin means to stir or agitate or a ladle. Some of these words you bump into because you're looking at other words. Your eyes just, and you realize that the way the entire language is constructed is that even if you didn't know the covenant that Yahweh had with Israel, I'd be willing to bet that if you just sat there and read the dictionary, you'd understand what it was. Even if you didn't have the entire scripture, if you just knew the 22 letters, what they mean as this encoded pattern, and how all the words are constructed, you'd get it. Samech Tav Mem, used in Daniel 4, means to stop up, close, express oneself vaguely, bound, restrained, ceased. It's a cork stopper. Vague or indefinite expression, anonymous opinion, in general, unknown, closed. Bet Het Nun, that was the word for watchtower that we talked about. Hope, look out, inspect, and examine. In other words, why are we inspecting and examining and looking at these words? Because that's what builds our hope. And our hope is in the character, the nose of Yahuwah, that he will do exactly what he said, regardless of what's been lost or turned into an idol or discombobulated. Bet Het Nun means to examine, test, try, experiment, distinguish, differentiate. Watchtower, examiner, assayer, auditor. It's a synonym with ayin, resh, kaf, eryctology. And then you look at Zechariah 8:23. So declares Yahweh Zavot, in those days, Asher, valid, that which, Yod, Het, Zion, Yod, Kuf, Vav. Well, Het, Zion, Kuf means strong, take hold fast, encourage, reinforce, seize, keep, regard, sure, certain, maintain, contained, and occupying. It's like, I got this. In those days, those who, or that which is strongly took hold of, 10, Ashra, but that also means wealthy and enriched, Anash, that's human, 10 men, Anashim, from all Lamed Shin Nun Vav Tav, La Shanot. Well, Shin Nun is where you get the word teeth, but it also, Lashon is where you get the word tongue or language, different or variant, like teeth coming together. See if it's Shafa, that which restores to health, cure of lunacy. That's the lip smooth language of Hebrew, but the Lashon are these other languages of the Goyim, the nations. Makal Lashonot HaGoyim is from all the languages, the variations, and the different teeth of the Goyim nations. They'll take hold. There's that same word, chazik again, bekanaf, of the wing. Ish Yahudi, a Jewish man. Yehudi is Yod, Hey, Vav, Dalet, Yod. He will, that's Yod prefix, Hod, as in Hodu, La Yawaki Tov, Ki Leolam Chado, Hodu, give thanks, give praise, confess sin, confess where we've gone wrong, and get back on the trap, reverberating, echoing, resounding praise and thanksgiving, saying, Nachla Amkam, Ki Shemanu Elohim Amkam. So it's translated, 10 men of the various nations will strongly hold fast, encouraging, reinforcing, keep regard of certain, the wing of a Jewish man, of a Ish Yehudi, of some other man they come across saying, let us go with you. Nun Kaf Lamed Hey, Lamed Kaf, to go. Lachla, let us go. Amkam, because we're listening, we're shema'ing Elohim as you do. But if you look at that word kanaf, which is wing, look in the dictionary, kaf nun pei, to cover with one wing, surround or hide, to huddle together, hidden by wings, to have wings, the skirt or the corner of a garment. Kanof, kaf nun vav pei, is a gang or assembly of people. So when Yeshua said, O Jerusalem, Matthew 23:37, how I would have taken you under my wings as a hen, her chicks, her peeps, huddled together, something hidden. I would have given you refuge under my wings. Surrounding. Well, that's the surrounding wall. You realize he's not just giving us a story about chickens under the wings of the hen, even though hen is where we get the word het nun in Hebrew, which would be grace, favor, encampment. I would have given you refuge under my protection, but you wouldn't have it. So what this is saying, what is the hidden covering of refuge that one man who gives hod unto Yahweh? It's not about the talit, it's not about the wings, it's not about the zitziot, it's not about, we've heard that God is with you. It's that a man who gives hod unto Yahweh has the assurance of refuge and protection as under wings of Yahweh's entire military. The surrounding wall of Ket Yod Lamed is his Kaf Nun Pei. And anybody who shamas the kol, the voice of Elohim, is Amkam. Ayin Mem, and then Kaf Mem is the suffix. But again, what is Ayin Mem? Look at Ayin Mem Mem. Duplicate the second letter, make it the third. It means join, connect, included. Was covered, veiled, and concealed. But it also means darkened, dimmed, and muffled, which is to say insulated, protected. But Ayin Mem Mem is used to mean non-Jew or Gentile or silenced or national or popular. Ayin Mem, overlooked, disregarded, obscured. He hesitated. And we'll see later that, what does it mean he hesitated? What does that have to do with anything? It's the opposite of Pei Tav Hey. Ayin Mem Tav is a mute for a musical instrument, as a damper. And then as you look at other related words, Ayin Mem Kuf, emek, deep, a valley, profound study, profundity, thinking deep thoughts, fundamental, the depth where you dig the foundation. Ayin Mem Tav means to compare, confront against your opposite, and Ayin Mem Hey, joining, connection, dim, weak, or unclear. So we've all been considered to be non-Jews, Gentiles, overlooked and disregarded and obscured because that's what we inherited regarding the kanaf of Yahuwah's understanding that he gives his people through his very words of his covenant. And as we listen to his voice and come to the enlightenment through the study, we have an amkam, we have this joining and connection with whoever else, whether it's brother Yehuda or any other person. Which brings us to 2 Chronicles 5:11. I was talking to Jesse Running Bear yesterday and talking about Jonathan Miracle with this musical group called Broken Walls. The reason he calls it Broken Walls is because 2 Chronicles 5:11, all the different groups of the Levites got together without the regard of their distinction. Hey, you're supposed to be this month, and I'm going to do it next week, and you're supposed. It's like the 12 tribes are not all supposed to be echad. They're ichad, not aleph het dalet. They're yod het dalet. Yahuwah had 12 stones on the breastplate, arranged in a certain particular order and row. Each letter has its own essence, but finds its place in the order. The point is, there's 12 tribes. Is there 12 different ways to regard walking in his customs, in his the expression of his kingdom? Colors on the color wheel? They were together, but they were still distinctly themselves. There's a thing in Isaiah 30:31. The song exists for you all. It is like the night of the Kadosh Chag, and it's like, well, that's the first Passover. That's the way it's rabbinical commentary. But Chalil, Kaf Lamed Yod Lamed, like night, Kaf Lyle, is also the word whole, complete, perfect, totally, and crown. So here you go back, and these guys had crowns dressed in white, these elders in Revelation 5, and it's like, are they just dressed up, wearing white robes, and they're wearing crowns? What is the word crown? Well, there's other words for crown, but this one means whole, complete, perfect, and totally. If we plug these things in, we'll get a different take. I know I'm jumping around here. We're running out of time, but let me just go on with Isaiah 30:29 and 30 real quick. The song exists for you, perfect Kadosh Chag, a feast of rejoicing, Shemeach, Lavav, a rejoicing heart, appropriate and adequate, with flute. Well, that's the word Chalil, with flute, arriving at the mountain of Yahweh toward Zor. Bahar is translated the mountain, but it's explained himself, brilliant, clear, lucid. Yahweh, Aleph Lamed hyphen Zadi Vav Resh. Well, Aleph Lamed is El, or powerful, motion toward Zadi Vav Resh. Well, Zadi Resh is rock, foe, hostility, but it also means fashion, shape, form, confine, siege, and trapped. Trapped, like the surrounding wall that trapped the people in Jericho, or another city under siege where you can't get out, and then they're coming against you. Verse 30, Vehashemiah Yahweh et hod kolo, audible Yahweh, reverberating, echoing, resounding his voice, Venachat, nun chetov, comfort, quiet, guiding to rest, Zeroah, his scattered seed, Yod Resh Aleph Hey, he will put on exhibition or make perceptible, Bet Zion Aleph, Bet Zion Ayin Pei. Zion Ayin Pei means angry or enraged. Aleph Pei, nose character wrath. Lamed Hey Bet, flame. Aleph Shin, fire. Aleph Vav, Kaf Lamed Hey, consuming. Nun Pezadi, Pezadi, there's the detonate, explode, disperse, driving storm, smash to pieces. And Zion Resh Mem, flow, pour forth, sweep away, violent current. Vav Aleph Bet Nun, stone of Bet Resh Dalet, subjugation, dominance. There's that Resh Dalet where we get the word Lord or road, smash, pave down. But it's also spotted, cold hail, so it's hailstones, Eben Barad. It's like, wait a minute. Hearing Yahweh, he made his voice known in praise, guiding his scattered seed to comfort and rest. He will make perceptible. See here the prefix letter Bet Zion Aleph Pei, Bet Zion Ayin Pei, as to why, what happened that he should be seen as this big, ugly, screaming monster, flaming fire, consuming, smashing, destroying everything. Because we wouldn't listen to his words. We wouldn't sit down on Shabbat. We wouldn't regard his name or his festivals or his covenant that he made with Abraham through Isaac, Jacob, Moshe, David, Yeshua. We turned him into some idol and wouldn't regard who he really was. And by listening to his voice with hod, praise and thanks, and confessing our own sin of being taught the wrong things, following the wrong things, not appreciating his things, suddenly everything comes into view. You bump into Zephaniah 3:14. Sing, O daughter of Zion, sound the trumpet, O Israel, be glad, exult with all your heart, O daughter of Jerusalem. Yahweh has removed your mishpat. He has cleared away your enemy. The King of Israel is in your midst. That's that same word again. You will never again fear evil. Never again fear evil. He didn't say that the evil ones wouldn't still be making threats, pounding their chest, trying to inject you with something. Just say, listen, once you know who I am, what the covenant was, why everything went to halal, went to hell, went to profane and common, it's us getting back on the track. So I'll try to kind of go into this kind of quickly. The setup of Revelation 3, if you look at the last three assemblies, they're not churches, they're assemblies. He says with Sardis, he says, okay, there's 7 spirits of Elohim, 7 stars. He knows your works. You have a name. You're alive, but you're dead. Wake up. That's either Kuf Zadi or Ayin Resh. Strengthen what remains. Well, what remains is the remnant, those who take shelter in the Shem of Yahweh. To be strengthened is that word chazak, het zayin kuf. I have not found your works complete. Remember how you've received and heard. Watch, repent. The word for watch is either shin bet resh, or shin het, or bet het nun, or ayin resh kaf, or ayin resh. Repent. If you do not, I will come to you as a thief suddenly. That would be the word petav ayin. He who overcomes will be dressed in white. You'll have your name confessed by me before my Father and his Melachim. So Yeshua didn't say, I am my Father. He says, I will confess your name before my Father if you overcome. Well, what's the word overcome? We talked about before that it was like the word used for conductor, manatzak, nun zadi het, or it's ish. We just read about the word man, or it's gabor, the champion, hero, valiant, or chazak, the one who takes hold of his stuff. What is the word overcomer? It's the one doing Yahweh's stuff with a valiant heart. Philadelphia. He says, you have little power. That's the word katun, guarded my words. Shamar dabri, not denied my name. I will guard you because you have guarded my words and not denied my name. I will guard you from the hour of trial coming upon the world. Hold what you have. There again, the Kazakh, Het Zayin Kuf. I will make you a Ayin Mem Dalet and write the Shem of my Elohim on you. Ayin Mem Dalet is like a standing pillar upon which all else is built, or it could be Mem Zadi Bet. Well, it's a stationed position, but Zadi Bet Aleph is the word for army. Nun Zadi Bet, to stick a knife in and have the handle. So in other words, for us to realize who he is, what he said, to grab a hold of it with all of our heart and to count on it with our behavior following our belief. That's what they're commended for with Philadelphia. Laodicea, so says the Amen, trustworthy, true witness. Hey, Aleph Mem Nun, the beginning of creation. Well, wait a minute. He wasn't created, but for Yeshua, this one speaking, to be the word made flesh, to be the Bereshit, doesn't make him the Father. It makes him the expressed image, the nose, the not in contract with any of the character and disposition, but the manifest. We talked about that before. He says, I know that you're neither cold or hot. He knows your works. I will vomit you out. That's Zadi Aleph or Kuf Aleph. Be ardent and repent. Again, chazak and teshuv. What I'm trying to show you is that if you read these things in English and you get doctrine, that's one thing. But if you try to find what's the Hebrew word, it's the same stuff over and over. Take hold, grab hold of my stuff with all your heart. Now, here, this is the critical verse. Revelation 3:20. If I stand at the door and knock, if anyone hears my voice and opens the door. Now he goes on to say, I shall come into him and dine with him and he with me. So to dine is Aleph, Kaf, Lamed. To be with is Ayin, Mem, Kaf, Mem, or that's with you. If anyone hears my voice, Shema Koli, hears my voice. If anyone hears his voice, how do you hear his voice? By reading these words, by knowing what he's saying. How do you open the door? Well, the word for open is Pei Tav Het. The word for key, that which opens, is Mem Pei Tav Het. It's the exact same word as the Lamb who was worthy to open or unseal the scroll. So Mem Pei Tav Het means key, but it also means index, one who puts off his armor, an engraver. By digging into something, you're opening it up, you're cutting off the surface, a developer. The whole idea of the chart, the Erectology chart, 2010, is the key or the index that opens up, that takes the armor off, the covering, the throne, as it were, that which has been covered over of this whole language. Pei Tav Het means open, opening, doorway, entrance, starting point, untied, possessing faculty of sight, not blind, engraved, uttered, declared, expounded, developed, set free, regained sight, freedom of speech, eloquence, and the pretext of, which means the cause of what which comes next, which means it's a commencement. So to say, if anyone hears my voice and opens the door, receives his sight of freedom to understand the language. Pei Tav Het is in contrast to Pei Tav He, which is simple, foolish, deceived, enticed, seduced, allured, persuaded to act suddenly without consideration. So remember when we saw before Ayin Mem, to be hesitant, wait a minute. And I said, well, it had something to do with Pei Tav He. This is the point. Pei Tav He is a foolish young man seduced and enticed by some alluring female. Pei Tav He. Pei Tav Het is to be something in this Het enclosure. Pei Tav. It'll tell you it means forehead, lintel, header, or crossbeam, or something at the entrance. Just look at Pei Tav. If you put a sheen in front of it, Shin Pei Tav, well, that's the word for language. Shin Pei He, Shin Pei Tav. Shin Pei, read a couple of those and put a Tav, Shin Pei Tav, is a weather vane, or whatever way the wind blows. Just, it's not a matter of whatever way the wind blows, because Yahweh sends storms. When something is wide open and revealed, you better be hesitant. It might be a trap. It's like if you're a rat and you got to scrounge for your food, and all of a sudden there's a nice juicy piece of cheese sitting there, and it's like, whoa, what are the chances of finding something like that? By golly, you stick there, wham! You know, it's like something that's too easy just might be a trap. But the idea that you can open the door, a door might be a Shin Ayin Resh, which also means gate, entrance, value, measure, horrible, tempest, cleave, split, rent. Imagine, guess, calculate, reckon, estimate, value, hairy, trembling, storm, raging, abominable, Sair. It's also a synonym with Ayin Resh Kaf, Eric. Pei Tav Ayin, sudden surprise, amazed. Pei Tav Kuf, break open, cleave, split, dam burst, card index. It's like the playing cards. What I'm saying is that as you look through all these words and letters, you realize if anyone hears my voice and opens the door is not about necessarily, it doesn't say, ask Jesus into your heart. And that's being the closest verse in the entire Bible that even suggests such a thing. but it very specifically means receive the vision of comprehending his words. Open the door. And then you say, well, stand at the door and knock. What's the word knock? Kufshin, kufshin. Knock, strike, rattle, prattle, babble, clap, rang, and to hoe, like to dig in the earth. Kufshin also means difficult, hard, severe, like straw. Objection, difficult question, stubborn. Kufshin. Well, let's go back. Revelation 3:20 is that. If we go to Revelation 4 right after that, he says, I see a door opened in heaven. What door is opened in heaven? Why is the door opened in heaven? I'm suggesting that if any man opens the door, then I'll come in. It's this door that we're doing right now by these studies that you're doing. That door is being opened in heaven. The throne itself, which has been obscured and hidden, he's allowed us to see because Yeshua came down and walked out this 22-letter sequence. He called up and he saw the throne, and the Achad, the one, did Shin Bet, sit on the throne, and he sat there. It was like jasper, ruby. Does that mean it's red? There was a rainbow around the throne, like emerald in appearance. Is that green? What's the word for rainbow? It's either Kufshin Tav or Kufshin Tet. The word for knock is Kufshin. The word for straw, stubble, something difficult, is Kufshin. Kufshin Tav, bow, rainbow, arc, arched, convex, cornea, bowman, archer. Kufshin Tet, bow, truth. It's another word, not just amen, but truth. Decoration, to make straight, arrange, adorn, decorate, ornament. It's the little fletchings on the arrow that cause it to fly straight. That's Kufshin Tet. To embellish, make correct, confirm, verify. It's exactly what we're doing by looking at the meanings of these words and trying to figure out what the truth is. That is Kufshin Tet. So for him to see an emerald rainbow above the throne is not just decoration. It's saying that it's going to come a time when a door is going to be open in heaven when we can see the true meaning of his identity, his name, his covenant, what it means to be his people, and walk with the open eyes of understanding, comprehending every little piece of these 22 letters to his great kavod. That's what's happening right now by us looking at these things. Kufshin Yod Tet. In the dictionary, it says a certain weight of unknown value. Well, it's been of unknown value. It's right, equitable, just, and correct. And how is that certain weight determined? By the Tabanit Mishkan. It's going back to realizing what he put into this encoded pattern gives accurate meaning to the wild barbarians that he came to wrangle and hold by walking out the story. That's why we have the Moedim, because it registers and locks everything in with an exact value. Kuf Shin Yod Nun is one who causes difficulties, like putting on these talks. Very disconcerting to some people. Kuf Shin Yod Tav, a straw for sipping a cold beverage. A cold beverage is Kuf Resh. A straw is Suf, like Yom Suf. Yom Suf, Sea of Reeds, could be read as last day. Kur, Kuf Resh means cold. Yod Kuf Resh is precious, dear, costly, rare, which is also Kuf Resh Aleph, learn how to read. So this whole idea of knocking at the door could be read as causing difficulties, but providing a straw, a kufshin, for sucking up, knowing how to read in these last days. And the word sof means come to an end, cease, finish, where we get the word sophite letters or suffix, storm, tempest. Sophism sophist, sophomore, Sophia, make wise, instruct, learned, prudent, grammar, rhetoric, which is a synonym with shin ayin, resh, which is a synonym of ayin resh kaf. I've got some other stuff going in here. We'll talk to another occasion about the what the seals are, the 7 seals. Let me just address this one. Revelation 6:2. The 4 riders of the apocalypse. You got the guy in the white horse holding a bow, having a crown, dressed in white. You've got a red horse, number 2, but yet number 2 is Shana in Hebrew, that means red, which also means hate, change. Black horse, scales of Mishpat. Might the 7 seals and these 4 riders with the first 4 seals line up with the Moedim, and something could be said in that? That's the question. But the first one, white horse holding a bow, overcoming. Well, the word white is sheesh, shin yod shin, which means rejoicing. The word overcoming is netzach, which is to be triumphant. He told us to be overcomers, wearing a crown, and that the word crown is totally. Are these 4 evils? Or are these 4 things that Yahweh is going to do? The first one on the white horse, I've heard it said, well, that's like the papacy, and then you got communism and capitalism and Islam, these other 4 colors, the pale green. And it's like, wait a second, nobody knows. Nobody knows what these things are. But if I just looked on the first one and says, soon as this lamb who was worthy to open the scroll, which looks like, understanding the language, the very first seal that he opens up, in comes this white horse, overcoming, holding a bow. And we just went through the meaning of the word bow, like the emerald bow above the throne. And it means to confirm, verify, make straight, embellish, decorate, ornament, make the unknown value certain. It's coming to terms with who is Yahweh, who are you, who is Israel, what does he expect, what does he want, what do you have to be doing, because it's all about doing, to hear him say this word, ish, with an R, ishar. Yod Shin Resh means first 3 words of Israel, similar synonym with Asher, true, correct, valid, confirmed, right, straight, to walk properly. Aleph Yod Shin, just the word man, also the word for worthy, but Aleph Yod Shin Resh means well done, as in well done, good and faithful servant. And when he talks about saying, I've got this problem with what you've been doing, and it's not just about what you believe, it's what you do. We were taught it's not about what you do, it's what you believe. But we believe all kinds of screwball stuff. It's like this explosion of possibilities, of denominations, of meanings, of truths. The word for scroll is sefer. The word for seal, het tav mem, and the word for key, mem, pe tav het. And the lamb that was worthy is because he walked out every one of those letters in sequence order and embodied, blew the thing apart, brought it back together, corralled it, and said, here's the truth. And then opened up the first seal, which looks like it's a picture of the hope, the encouragement that Yahweh wants us to have before anything else happens. Okay, there we are. Let's open up the mics and cameras, and you guys can take it from here.
Sorry, it's taking a second. So there, just so we're clear, there's no translation or Hebrew revelation. We're backwards engineering this, right?
Yeah, yes and no. Andrew Gabriel Roth put out the Aramaic English translation, which is no longer really available. But that's Aramaic, and where he got it from the Peshitta, I don't know those details. But if you want to see Revelation in Hebrew, go to the erictology.net site, and it's got the whole Bible there in Hebrew. But that was probably back translated from a Greek version put into Hebrew, and so you'll just have to take it with a grain of salt, as it were. But there was no original Hebrew that anybody has any record of.
Thank you. Sorry. My apologies.
Go ahead.
I was talking to myself while you were speaking, and I forgot I turned my mic on. So sorry.
Oh, go ahead. You can say whatever you want.
I thoroughly enjoyed what you did. I was blown away at the word lamb. Lamb. That just blew me away. And then I was trying to track with the rest of the words. And oh my goodness, Eric, once you get going, I can't keep up. But I'm learning.
Well, sorry, I'm talking kind of fast. I'm trying to fit a lot of information into a small time so people can just take it as a catalyst, an encouragement, a stimulus to ponder slowly at your own time. So it's not really ever my intention to rattle on like too incomprehensible. I apologize for that.
Oh,
But it's just handing you something that you can tone down at your own speed and make it what you want of it.
well, I understand that, and I totally appreciate what Kurt does, because when I go back and listen, I'm able to digest a little bit more and a little bit more every time I do listen to it. So I appreciate everything that goes into this. Thank you.
It is also appreciated because you just mentioned the Andrew Gabriel Roth and his Aramaic English New Testament. It's available on Amazon, but the hardcover copy is almost $345. So what you're giving us for free, it costs your time. You've put so much into this, and it's just such a blessing. So thank you so much.
Well, hopefully I'm trying to show you the mechanics of how things are done so that you can see it with your own eyes as you're looking at these words. And, the problem, Jeff Benner's script where he has other Yods and Vavs dropped in, or the Stones to Knock where they're not there, which one is more valid? I couldn't tell you, but the letters are what they are. And I've said before, if you know the 22 letters, you know how they spell words, you know what they are, you can see the whole thing, especially to picture Yeshua's gospel narrative, which the Jews have zero regard for. They have less than zero. They actually hate it and despise it. Just like, the Christian heart is to despise the law. It's like they both aren't just neutral. So this ayin dalet ayin tav of Daniel 12 is like, gosh, to see them both, to see Yeshua as the door, the accessible measure by which these things of the Tav can be seen, the marks and symbols which speak of Yahweh's covenant. I mean, it's just this incredible, beautiful puzzle, crypted and decrypted when you put the two together. The moment when Yeshua, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, that's when you were talking and going through this study, it made me think of several different things. Just in regards to the Messiah, he's the door, he's the way we enter into the Moedim, right? And this made me think about just when you look at Revelation and you're reading the heavenly scroll and you're understanding that, from the earth, you can see the 7 known visible wandering stars, the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, and so forth. And so the Moedim are, the signs in the heavens, right? And so this kind of just reminded me of, it's through the Messiah we enter into the heavens, we enter into the gate, and that word in Greek for ascension is anabano, I think, and that's another interpretation of that word is to unlock the mysteries, the heavenly mysteries, to open the seals, to understand the planetary movements, and when we participate in these Moedims and these feasts, and when we're supposed to do what. And so it's all like Revelation is very similar to what we see in Judges, where it talks about before they go into Jericho, 7 priests blow the trumpets. In Malachi, it says that the priests are Yah's messengers. And also we read in Psalms that the stars are the messengers. And so we have 7 stars, we have 7 priests blowing trumpets, making an announcement. They're calling us all to these events, to these Moedim, to these particular events that are coming up. And it's right, right before they go into Jericho, this happens, the 7 priests, right? And they destroy Jericho, which means it's like the city of the moon, essentially. Don't follow the moon. They're saying whoever builds upon this moon city is going to be cursed. And Yah put the heaven to rule the day, and we're children of light. So we follow, the light, and we're not children of the night. We no longer walk in darkness. And so the sun is to rule the day, the children of light. And so that sun has been placed into the heavenlies, and it's to, as it goes through each mansion, through each house, it points us to the Moedim, to the sun, and to understand, these particular times. And so the sun, S-U-N, or the S-O-N, is the way for the path throughout the Maseroth. And so this is kind of just something I worked on this week, and just seeing this teaching with what you were talking about, I can just see the connections there and how it's all tied together. It's all about coming together as the church, the body, in the Moedim, in these seasons.
I mentioned something earlier, that we've all inherited different perspectives, understanding denominational foundations. Is it a sin to be wrong? Is it a sin to have a false doctrine that we heard, that we were taught? Is that the sin that's going to end up throwing us into hell? I'm just putting that as a question. So if somebody says, I'm trying to figure out this relationship between Yeshua and Yahweh, and I'm going to believe this, or I'm not going to believe that, or I don't know about this sun versus moon, and I'm going to believe this, or I'm going to keep this calendar. Is that a sin worthy of eternal destruction?
No.
So the question is, what are we supposed to be doing? Like I said, I can't necessarily answer or prove, but the fact that he made it a difficult question is proven by the fact that Kuf Shin means difficult question, difficult problem. He made our minds work a certain way. He made the disclosure to be of a certain aspect, and he made there to be a disconnect, an impasse, a conflict, hence the word difficulty. He designed it that way. The fact that we're on a quest of analyzing, determining, investigating, that's what he wants us to do. And if we don't necessarily agree, that's not necessarily the sin worthy of death. To make an image of him, to make an idol, say it's him, to go completely astray, different words, different ideologies, that's going astray, that's ruinous. But we have to look back and say, we're on a course of correction here. Correct 3,000, 4,000 years of trouble. Yeah, go ahead.
So I just want to remind everybody watching, the more comments you make, we're going to tally them up. Once we get to 1,000 subscribers, and somebody's going to get a free red dictionary on the Erictology channel. Eric's going to hand deliver it. No, I'm kidding about that first. That'd be pretty nice, though. There's a guy named Mike Steven making a comment yesterday on the Marked on the Forehead video, part 1. He says, at the 5-minute mark, you say that you welcome any challenges from people about what you're saying is true. There's too much truth for one vessel to hold all. So Abba has you out in the forest gathering this, and Abba has somebody else out in the forest and gathering that. Then he goes on to say, I haven't talked to you, Karen, or Stupid, STEWPID, for 5 years since I left Facebook. It would be nice to show you what he has had me gather. So it sounds like he's throwing down the gauntlet, unless I'm reading that wrong.
What was his name?
Mike Steven. And my question to you is, would you be willing to do a debate live?
Yeah, I'd be willing to talk to somebody. The guy Stupid is referring to Stu Pittisol there with Mountain Air 7, just so you know. That's who he's referring to.
I figured as much. Yeah.
And I've talked to people who have different points of view, which is okay. I mean,
Mhm.
the thing is, at least he's thinking, at least he's looking. And if he says, you found this, I found something else. I've talked to different people who have found what I would classify as outrageous perspectives. Now, that doesn't mean they're wrong, but they're just so far like, what am I supposed to do with that? He might be referring to that. And sometimes, I mean, I've heard some people say some things where I have no bag to put it in. If someone gives you a 300-pound iron anvil and all you have is a paper grocery bag, and they said, here, put this in the bag and take it home, it's like, I can't. It won't fit. The bag will tear. I don't know what to do with this. I can't even pick it up. It'll hurt my foot if I drop it. Some people give you things that you can't do anything with. I'm not saying they're wrong or they're evil. Just some information I can't carry.
So, hey, Mike, if you're watching this one and you stayed through to this long, hit me up on Facebook on our erictology.net page, and we'll see if we can arrange a live debate if you're up for it. That'd be great, I think.
Off the top of my head, I cannot recall who that person is or what he's referring to.
Okay. And now with that, I just want to close in prayer.
Okay.
Yahuwah, thank you for this group. Thank you for the message that you give Eric, and that it's sprouted seeds since 2004. He's been working on this, and you just see the fruit of this labor. And this labor is a labor of love, Father. And we just want to know your words. We want to do your things the way you want us to do. And that's all our heart's desire is. And we're just doing the best we can. Forgive our ancestors for walking away. Here we are. In Deuteronomy 30, you told us we'd come back, and here we are. So we're asking to help us understand fully. We're doing the best we can with what we got right now. But Father, everybody watching this video, within the sound of my voice, Father, bless them. Bless them financially. You told us when we would come back that our storehouses would be full, and that you would send rain in its due season, and we would have to worry about nothing, so that we are a favored people, and people would look upon us and say, who are these people? They truly have the blessings of Yahweh. Father, that be true in this day and age, and that we learn to shut out the world and only listen to you. And I ask this in Yahuwah's mighty name. You are a mighty and powerful Elohim. Without you, we can do nothing. In Yahuwah's name I pray. Amen. And with that, I am going to shut off the recording. The after show begins now.